think it's too backlit. It's going.
These are push hands drills, and they come from Adam Misner's people, but I just kind of adopted them and added to them, and kind of made them work for me. But they're good, and they'll really cover a lot of bases in push hands that you need to cover. And there's a lot of bases to cover. So basically, you're trying to relax the upper body as much as possible, and not try to throw people around, but you're just trying to loosen the body, just like with everything. At the same time, get some awareness in the hands of what they're doing. So the first one is push and ward off and roll back. So here's my ward off. Here's his push, and then I do roll back, and then he does ward off. See it? So you end up with what we call the bad side rollback. So there's a circle here, and a lot of people do this one-handed, but it's really two-handed because you're using two legs. So you can't shift forward and just use one hand. It's not really allowed. So you have to, use both hands in yin and yang succession. So that's the first one. It's pretty easy, and the first three are pretty easy. So you just do them a lot. The next one is wipe off. That. So this is a version of cross hands or press on the back leg. The cross hands and press are related. So this is showing you how to do on, which is push, and cross hands together. And we call it wipe off, and we have it in most of the forms called this wipe off. And then from there, you can do jive. So if your wipe off doesn't work, you can't make it work, you do this. And this is pull. So don't collapse the arms when you do jive. Keep everything full but empty. So the hands keep a shape. They don't collapse. You don't try to wiggle out. You just keep your pump, and then you try to turn. So then what you do is you get good at practicing all those three together until you can do any of them at will. Okay? So those three are really important. The next one is the shoulder one. So this one is a little complicated, but basically you're going to push the shoulder up. The easy one is just that. And then he pushes my shoulder up. So again, I'm trying to loosen his shoulder, he's trying to loosen mine. Yeah. And then, so that's the Misner version. And what I've done is add the shoulder in there more. So basically, when he pulls my arm, I just insert the shoulder. To get away from that, he lifts this. This is split. And then I try to pull his shoulder, his arm. He gives me his shoulder. I do split by lifting my left up, and that lifts up his right. And then we do it again. He pulls. I get my shoulder in there. He does split. So this is shoulder and split, and they're coupled together. And you see that very clearly in the Dalu power. So this is the full split from the long form. And it matches the shoulder. Okay? So the next one is on. So this one, again, these are all from Mr. Huang in Malaysia for the most part. But I learned a lot of these from Mr. Smith and Mr. Dunlow. Yeah. So it seems to be universal. This one is Pong and On together. So Pong, you can also create Lu. So if he pushes too hard on one side, you have Lu. So Lu just splits Pong, splits On. Right? So you can work with that one. That one's pretty easy. The next one is I call play guitar version. So you're starting to kind of this play guitar position. Again, you can do it this way where you're not shifting too much and just kind of loosening the arms and turning the weight. But then what you want to do is then stop all that turning and feel your elbows connect to your wrists, to your feet. And feel your shoulders and hips drop and your back lifts. And then try to do it without losing any of that. And then you start to notice where the pung falls apart and down. Like this, maybe this arm doesn't have enough pung, or this arm is pushing too hard, or, you start to notice inequalities. And you have to basically equalize the pressure. And And then that creates your un in this case. So you can see Lu right there when you go back, and on when you go forward, right? And then play Pong in between when you play guitar. So, like that. That's the next one. The next one is rollback.
Tight rollback.
Yeah. So the rollback one, basically we're working with elbow. So he's always checking my elbow, and I'm always checking his. So there's other ways to do this, but you can do it big. This is a relatively small version. So you're trying to keep this equalized again between the two elbows. So if he pushes too hard there, I get that, which is Lu. If he pushes too hard there, I can also do the elbow there. See that? So if I push too hard here, he can do elbow on me, see? So it goes both ways. Anyway, you can use play guitar to keep your punk in this very nicely. So they all are progressive. All these kind of work together. So if he can't neutralize my on, then he has to use more Lu with his other hand. See? So now if he neutralizes here, then he can use this to push. So this is actually really complicated, but anyway, I'm just introducing these, not really going into depth. Okay? The next one is jive. Let's have you guys switch. So get a little closer to the phone. This is the long jive. So the other jive we did was kind of short. This is the long one. So basically I'm going to push on this, and he's going to take that and do diagonal flying, see it? And then up, he pulls, and then he pushes on me, and I take that, and this is jive, and then I push on that. So there's a little shifting here, but that's the hard part. You shift a little bit back when you get pushed. Like right here, I have to shift back, and then I pull and shift forward. See that? So that's the jive one. And this is the long jive, call it. Diagonal flying jive. Yeah. Okay? And that one's hard, so you're going to need to practice that one a lot. What's the next one? Yeah. So then you do it open hand wrists, and you're really focusing on the forearms and the wrists. No hand pushing. Really just put, yeah. First you don't step with it. You just kind of do what everybody else does out there, which is these circles. And they're kind of interesting, but not really. But you do want to keep your pump, right? And trying to find Lu without using the hand. And then eventually you're going to start stepping with it, right? And all of these you're going to add stepping in later, every single one of them. But for now, you don't. This is easy one to step, so you can maybe do that with this, you know. Yeah, so you want to find on, which is kind of downward. You want to find Pung, which is kind of round, and you want to find Lu, which is splitting the on. See that? Yeah. And then G will just happen when they come together, see? So like that. G's easy, if you can do it that way. See? So G kind of counters Pung and Lu. So it's really important, especially in the Timpan Ling system, they do a nice low G like this. It's really hard to deal with. So the other one is you make fists, and you do the same thing but with fists. So then you go to see all the postures in the form that have fists. And the short forms don't have a lot of fists, but the long forms have a lot. So the one you do in the short form have is this down block carry, which is this. See it? And you'll see there's a reverse punch in the last one, and then this kind of piercing tiger. Happens quite a bit. And you can see the piercing the ears happens too. So this punching version of push hands, again, don't tense up to do it. Still find Pung and find Lu and find An, but you just have fists. So you're not hitting them, you're just touching. You're like, oh, look at that opening. there, you know. And so one thing creates another, you know, so yin and yang create one another like that. And you just go through these really a lot until you get very familiar with them, and stay relaxed and stay open, and don't let the mind get in the way too much, and let the body just feel everything that's happening. But I think you'll really progress really quickly.